Welcome to the Brain Plate, the podcast blending nutrition and psychology to help you thrive. So, whether you are trying to improve your focus, reduce anxiety, or live a comprehensive, holistic lifestyle, let's dig in. Hello, I'm Leah and I'm here with Marit, and welcome to our brand new rebranded podcast. If you had listened to us previously, our old name was Worlds Apart, Words Together, and we kind of just rambled and talked as best friends, living across the world from each other, but still wanting to stay in contact and touch on some topics that were important to us. However, with this rebrand, we wanted to take it up a little step and also bring some very important content to you guys, along with utilizing our specialties more. So we have a new name and it's called the Brain Plate, and we'll get a little bit into why that name, but the Brain Plate blends the best of nutrition and psychology, bringing together the science of nutrition and the insights of psychology to help you live a more balanced life. So, whether you are someone who's trying to improve your focus, reduce anxiety, or live a comprehensive, holistic lifestyle, the Brain Plate offers advice, practical tips, and the latest research in simple and real life terms. That's a really big thing for us that we really want to be able to use our expertise and break down this current research content that's out there and really break it down in factual ways that you guys can understand and also implement it into your own life. So this podcast again is really focusing on giving you guys good bite-sized pieces of research-backed insights presented in those relatable and real-life terms.
Yeah, that was a really good introduction to our newest topic and newest name and all of that branding. And I'm excited. Leah and I are both passionate about what we do and being able to share our passions with you in a fun but also academic kind of way. I think will be a lot of good times. And what I think is also fun is that we want to do a little bit of a twist on it every now and then, but we'll get on that later. I guess we'll kind of start with introducing ourselves another time. Like we did that all the way at the beginning of Worlds Apart, Words Together, but that was also 2 years ago, and a lot has changed, with both of us. So I think a reintroduction of who we are is valid here. I'll start with myself. I am Marit. I recently graduated with a Master's of Science in Forensic and Legal Psychology, and currently working as a kind of mental health professional who coaches defendants who have autism spectrum disorder, and they are within the probation office and they're trying to reintegrate into society, and I will step in and help them take those steps of reintegration. My personal passion is psychology. I'm the psychology part of the podcast. Leah also has experience with psychology, but yeah, it's kind of my passion. And I think there's so much about psychology that is already out there, and the field just keeps expanding and keeps growing. And I think my interest in forensic psychology can also bring a different twist on this topic. So yeah, that is me.
And I'll go ahead and share a little bit about myself. As I said at the beginning, my name is Leah. I have 2 degrees in exercise science and that whole area of physical training. And I recently took a kind of like career continuation with a twist and am currently getting my PhD in nutrition. So I come from a athletic exercise and nutrition background, so I am the nutrition side of this podcast. I come, as I said, with 3 degrees pending, and so my current field is in nutrition. I work in a nutrition lab with doing human subjects research out of UConn, and it's been a really fun time. Our most recent work has been done with bone metabolism, but on top of that, we have also dived into the sports science field with athlete monitoring and trying to incorporate that into some sports on campus. In addition to that, I'm trying to combine both of those into the ROTC field. It's been a bumpy road. We're going. We're cute. We're little baby steps. Baby steps is all I can say. But
That's
hoping that
okay.
gets kicked off because I would ultimately love to also not just do um, athletes and expand more into active duty military. I do have a little bit of psychology knowledge just because psychology does come with the exercise portion and nutrition portion of what I do. So that kind of overlap is very important to me. Nutrition, I do believe, is to be the building block of your health. I do believe it to be as preventative medicine, but also as reactive medicine for majority of things. Not saying everything, because some things obviously do require more food or a more like prescription orientated, doctor medicine orientated recovery, but I would say for most things in today's world, nutrition and understanding nutrition is both a preventative and a reactive.
Yeah. And psychology is comes with a lot. I think to anything that happens in life, there are some psychological processes, and the connection between nutrition and psychology is also very important. And we want to keep highlighting that for you in this podcast. So then Leah and I, as you can see, we're not in the same room. That is because Leah is in the United States and I am in the Netherlands. We decided to do this podcast, well, our first initial podcast topics 2 years ago after we both were at Lindenwood for college, where we met because we swam. So we have quite a history together, but currently we are on two different continents, just figuring out life and trying to do this and bring this topic to your guys' attention.
Yeah, exactly. So Martin and I have been friends for what, almost 6 years since
Yeah,
when did I move into the house? In 2020? Fall of 2020. No, fall of 2020 is when I moved into the house.
yeah,
Yeah, so we've been
yeah,
friends
yeah.
for about roughly 4.5 years. We've done
Which
the
really isn't
living
that long if you
together.
think about it.
Huh?
Which really isn't that long if you think about it.
Yeah, but if you also think of it in terms of like friendships can die within like less than 2 months,
Fair
like,
enough. Yeah.
you
Then it
know,
is a very long
like what
time.
do they say? Like if you're friends for if you make it to 7 years of friendship, you're friends for life or something like that.
We're definitely gonna hit
Yeah, I
that.
think we're gonna get there. Anyway, so you've done the whole thing from living together to now living very far apart and everything in between. And so the inspiration, as Marit mentioned, for our old podcast was just to share things that were important to us as best friends that live far away.
Yeah.
But now we are, I guess, in our mid 20s, and now are considered, having some kind of knowledge. It's hard to believe. I still don't think I have any knowledge, but it is hard to believe. So we rebranded, and our inspiration for this podcast was to combine my kind of expertise slash knowledge in the nutrition field and exercise field and combining that with Mart's knowledge and expertise in psychology, because a lot of times these are looked at as two separate things, two separate entities, but more and more is now being understood that actually that they are combined, and how not only are they combined, one can react on the other can react back, or they can work together in conjunction. There's just so many different ways that these two inherently vastly different topics merge and combine.
Yeah. And just to mention a couple of examples that kind of bridges that is you have the mind body connection, you have certain behavioral changes or performance, either physical or cognitive performance, that all also relate back to nutrition. So, hence, we find it important to really highlight and dive deep into different parts of this connection. And you'll find that there's a lot of overlap too between topics, probably. But because we're going to dive kind of deep into this, I think you'll also pick up a lot of interesting facts from it. And that is also kind of the goal for what we want to do. We want to create this kind of space, an online space where we can offer advice, practical tips, and the latest research on this topics. However, we want to bring it to you guys where it's easily digestible. Nice little wordplay there. Easily digestible for you to understand, but also maybe apply it to your own life and put this knowledge into your own pocket so that you can better understand what's going on with your own body and mind. So I think that's the real goal of this.
Yeah, 100%. And I do just want to mention, like, there's a lot of misinformation out there, media, news outlets, etc. The common Joe who's on Instagram out there portraying information that's not necessarily true or exactly how it's meant to be understood. We had this discussion in a department meeting just last semester of like, how do we overcome this misinformation? And the only real answer that my department could come up with was having those scientists, the researchers who put that information out there, come on podcasts, come on or create their own social media outlet and take the time to put out there what their research means, because we can't trust the mainstream information to get it right. And so it's kind of important, at least for me, and I think Mara as well, that we are taking these research and the current research, most up to date research, and breaking it down in terms that you can understand, but still being very factual to what the research is intended. And I think that's very, very
Yeah.
important to highlight, because that's something that gets so misunderstood and miswritten and mispublished.
Yeah. And I think you said that really well. And it's funny that only last month you kind of talked about that in your department meeting. And now here we are trying to relay that message to people. So I think it's clear. Hopefully, it's clear on what we try to do with this podcast. So now we're kind of going to talk about the structure of how are we going to do this and what can you expect from us. We thought of doing a monthly episode, so releasing one episode at the end of the month that is focusing on research, so supported topics related to nutrition and psychology. As I said, it could be like a connection between the brain and food, or the impact of sugar, like just topics like that that you can expect from us. And that will be at the end of the month. And every third episode, we kind of want to do a lighter, more fun topic that still explores nutrition and psychology, but outside of academia, where it might be like a documentary that we watched and we want to comment on, or a famous case that happened, or just something that still connects this link, but just in a more fun and exciting way rather than just academia all the time.
Yeah, 100%. This is definitely going to be a shift to more seriousness. So, or more academic side of things. So we do need a little bit more time to just put everything together. Not to mention, Margaret's working full time. I'm working basically full time and still studying. So our time is very limited, but we do want to bring very high quality content to all of you. It's very important to us. That being said, we don't want to take all the fun out. We like
No, it still should be fun.
yeah, we want it to still be fun. We don't want it to sound like a lecture too much. We want it to be interactive.
Yeah.
So, thinking of some ways to make things more interactive, perhaps putting together something that you guys could potentially use hands on or something like that. We don't know yet, but we do want it to be still very interactive. And also, if you guys have any kind of ideas, if you have topics that you've heard of on the news, on other podcasts, on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, whatever it might be, and you want us to comment on it or you want our opinion, please let us know in the comments. The best thing you can do is, if you like this episode, if you like the content that we're going to be putting out or you think you might like it, is to subscribe and follow to this podcast. Leave reviews, whether it's in the comments or in the little star things, and follow us on all of our social media. I think we are
Yeah,
on social media on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Do you still use X?
barely.
So maybe not so much on X anymore, but definitely TikTok, Instagram, YouTube,
Yeah.
Spotify, all under the Brain Plate or Brain Plate podcast. So please go subscribe and follow all those social medias. And again, if you think this might be some topics that you're interested in, please, please, please follow and comment. We do want it to be interactive.
Yeah, and we are always open for discussions too. So if there is something that you hear and you have questions about it or you're not really sure about what we're saying, we do intend to always put the sources out there that we use to kind of support what we're saying. However, if you still have some doubts or you just want to talk about it with us, let us know. We are always open to answer questions or being interrogated. But we would also like recommendations of, like, if you notice something in yourself or your environment that you're questioning, let us know. We are always open for suggestions for topics.
Yeah, for sure. So with that, and that kind of brings us to the end of this podcast. So see you
Yeah.
next.
See you next time. Bye bye. That's it for today's episode of The Brain Plate. Remember, small changes lead to big impact. Keep feeding your body and mind with intention. See you next time.